The D&D 2024 Player's Handbook is out in the wild, and even though I don't have an advanced copy, I've been watching videos, reading articles, and talking to folks about it. At this point, I'm pretty optimistic about the changes. It sounds like some of the high-level game-breaking abilities have been scaled back a bit. Druids no longer get unlimited wild shapes at level 20, the Cleric's Divine Intervention is now much more reasonable, I think. Spells are perhaps a mixed bag. Some spells that were too powerful got reined in, even though others that were too powerful became more powerful, oddly enough. Marshals appear to have gotten a bit of a buff to help them compete with the power of spellcasters, so it seems like there is some good and some neutral and perhaps some bad that came with the changes. However, and of supreme comfort to me and probably many others, is that D&D 2024 certainly appears to be compatible with D&D 2014, with certain caveats, of course. However, the Player's Handbook isn't really what I care about the most because I'm mostly a dungeon master and rarely a player. Hi, I'm Lucar, and on this channel, I share my nearly 30 years of game master experience so that you can run amazing games that your players will love. And today we're talking about what I desperately hope the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide will give us. By the way, if you're a new Dungeon Master who's unsure of exactly where to begin, or you're a veteran looking to reduce your prep time, Lairs and Legends and Loot and Lore might be exactly what you need. Get 29 adventures, over 100 new monsters, full color maps, encounters, magic items, puzzles, traps, and more. All quick and easy to drag and drop into your existing campaign. If you're tired of drawing a blank when it's time to prep for your next D&D game, you don't want to miss out on these resources. They put everything you need to run amazing games for your players at your fingertips. So pick up Lairs and Legends and Loot and Lore at the link below. First and foremost, please, for the love of all that is holy, give us an encounter building system that actually works. If I punch the numbers and it says hard, let it be hard, not a cakewalk. If it says easy, let it be easy, not a near TPK. Dungeon Master after Dungeon Master has screamed to the heavens that this is one of their #1 wishes. They've dropped to their knees and begged. They've sacrificed sacred miniatures to murderous felines intent on knocking every last one off their shelves. And please, let it work for all levels of play. I'm sick of the game only being playable between like levels 3 and 10. If encounter building worked, high level play would be much more viable. I realize this is a tall order, considering the disparity between character power and builds and all the broken combos that will inevitably emerge. However, I know other game systems such as Pathfinder 2 have done a really good job at this, so I know it's not impossible. Of course, a solid encounter building system requires balance and tight math in a couple places. First, characters. If a paladin is way more powerful than a ranger, who some people claim to have once again gotten the shaft in D&D 2024, I mean, why all the hate for rangers? Why? Did they hurt you? Was it an arrow to the knee? Do we need to take out the doll? But if one class is way more powerful than another, that is, classes are not balanced relative to one another, then encounter building math will always be hit and miss. So the ball may have already been dropped on that a little bit, I don't know. But the other place where we need balance and tight math for encounter building to work is the monsters. One thing I've noticed in the 2014 version of D&D is that a CR3 monster over here may be more or less powerful than a CR3 monster over here from a different resource, or perhaps even from the same book. If there is a rhyme or reason to that, I'm not sure what it is. More on that later. And high-level monsters are almost always lackluster. I've run several high-level D&D 5e campaigns. We're talking the level 17 to 20 range, and high-level monsters often suck. Characters just tear through them. Now, I'm not dumb either. I know better than to stick one boss monster in the room, even if it has legendary actions. Like, they always have minions and environmental effects and terrain and other factors in their favor. However, unless I buff them, usually by at least doubling their damage output, high-level monsters are laughably easy to beat. So when the 2024 Monster Manual is finally released in 2025, ironically enough, we'll see if monsters got any love or if they're just getting a coat of whitewash but are largely left unchanged, similar to what Monsters of the Multiverse did with existing monsters. And right here is where I'm obligated to ask you to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Subscriber count is mostly meaningless unless you're looking for social proof, but thumbs up and comments supposedly do good things for the algorithm, and we all know that when you make the algorithm happy, it showers you with +5 Holy Avengers. Now, all of this talk of monsters and challenge rating brings me to my next point. Will the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide give us better tools and systems? It's widely known that the rules in the 2014 DMG for creating monsters are not exactly what the developers themselves use. They may be close, but the secret sauce, or perhaps several large vats of it, along with the seasoning and choice cuts of meat, have been left out. If I look at Pathfinder 2's rules for building monsters, they're very robust and are exactly what the developers themselves use. I know, I literally spoken to Mark Seifter about it. And let's look at the 2014 DMG system for building magic items. Very sparse, not much to go on. We're really left to playing a comparison game between existing magic items in order to approximate relative power. But even then, we have outliers like the winged boots and broom of flying that are nowhere close to only being uncommon in power. Many dungeon masters love homebrewing our own monsters and magic items, so will we get access to the secret sauce this time, or will we be left with half-baked systems in the 2024 GMG? Oh, and speaking of magic items, will they be rebalanced? Will we be able to trust their rarity, or will we still need to depend on third-party sources that evaluate and categorize magic items by relative power, usually assigning gold piece values to them? As a dungeon master, I would expect to find this in the core rules, and frankly, with the annual revenue that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have, I'd expect them to provide it. And would it kill you to give us faster combat? And another big complaint of folks is the slog that D&D combat often is. I mean, look at all these videos that scores of YouTubers have made on the subject. Oh hey, that one looks familiar. Now I know that most of the core rules are locked in at this point, so hoping for something like having critical hits when the attack roll exceeds the armor class by 10 or more is out of the question, and probably not reasonable in a system that uses bounded accuracy anyway, so just forget I mentioned it. But hey, you know what you could do? Cut the hit points of monsters by half or more, and increase their damage output appropriately to hit the correct challenge rating. This would make combat not only faster, because monsters die more quickly, but also more exciting and tense because monsters are dishing out more damage to characters. The overall challenge is unaffected, but you get faster and better combats. I know the ship has already sailed on many things that were on my wish list from the very beginning, such as removing spells and abilities from the game that essentially make it so that some players don't get to play the game. I'm looking at things like Counterspell and Banishment and Polymorph and Walls of Force. I get that players love using them, but when the Dungeon Master uses them on you, not quite so fun to not get to play the game, right? And that's, by the way, how we can feel as well. I mean, who shows up to a D&D game and says, yeah, I'm cool not playing today, I'll just sit over here and do stuff with my phone, I guess. Oh wait, lots of people kind of do that already, so maybe that's just a wash. However, point is, I'm still holding out hope that the Dungeon Master's Guide and Monster Manual will give us some much needed quality of life improvements. And shoot, it's quite possible that folks who are privy to advanced copies already know if this is true or not. I mean, I'm still just the kid who never gets picked at gym class. But that's just what I think. What items are on your Dungeon Master wish list? And don't forget to check out Layers and Legends and Loot and Lore. Get tons of 5e resources and help support the channel. Now, if you'd like to learn about the monster creation mistakes you should avoid, watch this video right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.